Hello and welcome to Graceful Connections presented by Academy for the Soul. I'm your host, Sophie Bidard, and the co-creator of Graceful Connections together with Christel Hughes, founder of Academy for the Soul, the online school for intuitive arts. Graceful Connections is an adventure of exploration, discovery, healing, liberation, growth, and truthful expression, which is facilitated, amplified, magnified, and blessed really with grace. As graceful connections are woven between you and our expert speakers, your guides into gracefully catalyzing your intuition. Thank you for being with us and bringing your unique vibration, colors, and energetic imprint, without which something would be missing. Thank you for answering yes to the calling of grace and the calling of your being to upgrade to a higher vibrational operating system, which is what our guest Shelley Young will be sharing with us about today, and that's going to be fascinating for sure. So let's begin. I invite you to relax and take a few deep breaths. Breathing out all that does not belong to this moment. And let's bring all of your attention and your presence here and now. We set our intention that our time together, all that is shared in words and beyond the words, all the energies that we call in and flow serve our highest good, our evolution, and be of service to the highest good of all. I invite you to open your heart, or open it even more, and be ready to receive. And to open your mind, or open it even more, and be ready to receive. Activating your connection to the new Earth crystalline grid, and your connection to Galactic Center, the center of truth. You are held, both grounded and suspended. You are safe, relaxed, and ready, and open to receive. Now I'm calling the orb of grace from the heart of the universe and placing the orb of grace around our group, our gathering, each and every one of us. That we be held in the orb of grace and infused with grace all along our time together. Let's take a moment to adjust to the purity and the subtle high frequency of grace, allowing it to gracefully dissolve, realign, harmonize, amplify, magnify all that needs to be so, in purest alignment with divine will and the divine order of grace. And breathe. Beautiful. Now, within the orb of grace, I'm delighted to welcome our expert speaker, spiritual advisor, teacher, internationally recognized channel of Archangel Gabriel, Shelley Young, who will offer fascinating insights about the divine combination, your higher vibrational operating system. It is such a blessing to have you with us today, Shelley. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, we're delighted to have you. So before we get into our conversation, and I have questions for you, Shelley. I want to let everybody know Shelley is going to offer also intuitive readings today. So to request your reading, press *2 on the phone or click raise hand on the webcast to get on the line with Shelley, or place your request in the Q&A box on the web. And the question to ask for your reading is, how can the divine combination support me with? And you're going to state your issue or the thing that you want help with. So how can the divine combination support me with this issue? For now, let's dive into our fascinating topic. And to begin with, let's discuss surrender. Surrender, which is really a major aspect of our spiritual journey. So I'd like to ask you, Shelley, how do we get to surrender?
If it's okay with you, I'd like to back up just a little bit before we get into the topic of surrender, because I think it's really important to understand that the divine combination is not just 4 singular elements. It is 4 elements that work together. So it's actually an alchemical system where if you have the core elements of surrender, faith, flow, and trust, when employed together, they become the doorway to enlightenment. So we enter, we enter into the system of the divine combination through surrender. I mean, you could enter through any of the other elements, but most people do enter in through surrender. So surrender, a lot of times people think that it's kind of like giving up, tapping out in a powerless way. And the first thing that I'm going to ask you to dispel is that idea. It's actually a power move. It's an empowerment move. So it's not giving up. It's kind of in the sense that I'm powerless. It's giving up. You're giving up to God, up to the universe to lead the way. So it's kind of like giving up with the capital U, because you're allowing God or the universe or spirit or source or whatever language you prefer to start to lead you beyond whatever challenges you might have right now that you can't see your way beyond, but they can. So surrender, we need to surrender into something. And if you don't know what you believe, it's perfectly okay to just surrender into more. So I think a lot of times people say, well, I don't really know what I believe. If you believe in anything bigger, wiser than you, even if you don't know what to call it, that's perfectly fine. So it's not attached to any specific language or any specific religious system.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, how has surrender changed your life personally, if I may ask?
I found my way into my work with Gabriel through the dark night of the soul, and I'm sure a lot of listeners can really relate to that dark night where you've tried everything and you just don't know what to do anymore. So literally from the fetal position on my living room floor after my life had tanked out in the most spectacular ways, I lost my job, my marriage fell apart, you name it. I just had 3 months of, I would open a door, the door would come off in my hand. I'd go for a drive, my muffler would fall off. It was kind of like your worst day, but it lasted for about 3 months. And I kept asking, God, what else could happen? And I highly advise that you don't do that because you'll always find out when you ask the universe what else can happen. But I ended up in a place that was just so painful. I really didn't know what to do with myself. So I literally, from the living room floor, said, God, you have to take the wheel. I'm not qualified to run my life right now. All I know is that I want to help people. And as if by magic, from that act of surrender, from giving up, I ended up in hypnosis school in Toronto. And I thought, well, that's pretty pretty cool. You know, I could help. I never thought I could be a hypnotherapist, but it turned out I could. So I thought, well, I could help people and maybe do past life regression therapy or something kind of along the lines of spirituality, because I was always very enthusiastic about spirituality. I just had never considered that it might be a career. And when I got the cool new tool of hypnosis, because I wanted answers, I wanted to know how to navigate beyond where I was, I realized that I could hear a being that identified himself as Archangel Gabriel. And I didn't even know there was an Archangel Gabriel at the time. So what the magic of that moment of surrender was, it opened me up because I got completely out of my own way to a career path that I never could have imagined for myself in a million years. And that's exactly what led me to being here today.
The power of surrender. The power of surrender.
It is. It's truly getting out of your own way and allowing your soul, your guides, the universe, God, source, creator, whatever you believe, to lead the way. Because we have a very limited viewpoint of what our options are, you know, from this side of the veil. And lots of times, or most times, as Gabriel tells me, we'll sell ourselves really short because we'll only create within what we already think is possible, where our soul is always trying to lead us to new discoveries.
Yeah, thank you. I love how you've put it, giving up, with a big up, right? Giving up, surrender, being giving up to the divine. I think it really sums it up so simply and very explicitly. And what I'm sensing is how this perspective of letting the divine lead us, it feels there's such a, when we open ourselves to that idea, and maybe we can all take a moment to open ourselves to the idea. How would it be to let the divine lead, to let the divine take charge, and to pay attention to our heart? And what I'm sensing is that there's such a sigh of relief and a relaxation that happens in the heart space to that idea of putting it all in the hands of the divine and letting the divine lead.
You're exactly right. Most people don't get to that moment of surrender until they are absolutely flattened in such a painful place. But if you pay attention when you surrender, there is a sense of energetic relief that comes with it if you pay attention. Absolutely. The good news is we can choose to surrender whenever we want. We don't have to wait until we're, you know, in a fetal position on the living room floor. That was just my method.
You did it for us, so that we don't have to go that far to surrender. So
let's hope. But it seems that most human beings, you know, really can't get out of our own ways until we are just, you know, so out of energy and just so beyond knowing what to do with ourselves. And you know, we can always choose to surrender it. And that's what I hope people will learn today. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so the divine combination, 4 elements that you've touched upon: surrender, faith, trust, and flow. So let's go. We've talked about surrender. Now let's talk about faith and trust. What's the difference between faith and trust?
Well, when Gabriel first gave me this system, which was maybe about 18 years ago. And what I really want people to understand is, you know, I've been working in this system for many, many years. I still learn new things about it all the time, which is amazing to me because it seems so simple, but I think all really deep spiritual concepts are simple and deep at the same time. So I learned new things about it today. As a matter of fact, it amazes me. It's such a beautifully simple and complex system. But when Gabriel first what I want people to know is that you're not going to be in it all the time. We're human beings, and we're going to have bad days, and we're going to forget, and that's okay. As you become more aware of the system, you're going to notice that when you're in it, your days go better. And so you'll naturally kind of start to redirect if you find that you're out of it. So I don't want anyone putting extreme pressure on themselves. We lovingly redirect, and we can be light about it. Oh gosh, I knocked myself out of my surrender again. I just have to re-surrender. It's that simple. So when Gabriel first gave me this system, and he gave me the core elements, which actually need to be done in order, so surrender, faith, flow, and trust, I was confused because to me, in my mind, faith and trust were almost interchangeable terms. And so I asked him, what is the difference? And the difference is faith is the belief in something bigger than you, and trust is the knowing that that bigger you has your back.
So they go hand in hand. They're kind of, there's a difference, but they go hand in hand.
All of the elements combine to become a very magical system, and they all support each other. So we surrender with our faith because we have to have something to surrender into to be guided. If you sit on a bicycle and aren't willing to move, you're going to fall over.
Right.
So the flow piece is I'm willing to pedal so that I can be guided. And the trust is really where people struggle the most. But trust is actually kind of the missing link, if you will, the part, if you think of it like a wheel, it's the trust that keeps the forward movement. It closes the circle and it keeps you in movement. So that's the tricky part when you first start using this system, is staying in the trust to keep yourself in the system long enough to see where it's trying to take you. But if you do, you'll be really amazed by what was truly possible for you, not what you think is possible for you.
Okay. So you get to what your soul wants for you, or perceives is possible for you. Your highest potential, right?
Absolutely. And so I think what happens with a lot of people is they think, well, if I surrender into the flow and stay there with my faith and trust, they think that they have no control over their lives, or they think that they're kind of bouncing around like a pinball in a pinball machine where, you have no control over what's happening. And that is a misconception, and I want you to throw that out because that feeds a lot of fear in people that keeps them from wanting to move into that surrendered space. In reality, your flow has a steering wheel, and that steering wheel is gratitude. So you're going to start to learn that these 4 core elements are like pillars that create a container for you, but the elements also work together. So faith and trust, when employed together in this system, will open you up to acceptance and allowing, which will then open you up to peace and then beingness. So the elements work together to take you to deeper places as well when you are willing to stay within it. But absolutely, you have a say in where you're going, and you give your feedback to the universe through your gratitude and through your focus as well.
Okay, so gratitude and flow. Yeah, so how does it work exactly? Is it that gratitude generates flow, or how do they relate?
Well, gratitude is your feedback tool to the universe. So the universe is like, oh, they like this. Okay, we'll give them more of this. This is what they enjoy. So it's literally how you just give your feedback. So they know through your focus and your appreciation, that's what they would like more of as they're taking you towards these amazing potentials, which Gabriel says exists for us in the realm of potentiality. So within everything that we're aware of is one space. Well, if all of the solutions were already there for you, you'd already be doing them. Obviously, if you're in a place of discomfort or a place of seeking, it's because your soul knows that there's something beyond where you are, and that exists in the realm of potentiality, and the system allows you to move into that and make those discoveries.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. I think that you answered. I was wondering, like, when we bring together these four elements, what happens? And what I'm seeing is like, it's like the image I'm being shown is like on a video game when you enter a new level, right? A new plateau or a new realm, right? Mm-hmm. And it seems to me from hearing you that when we bring these four pillars of surrender, faith, trust, and flow, actually surrender, faith, flow, and trust in their proper order, when we bring them together, there's something that clicks, that elevates us into the realm of potentiality. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, it's called the divine combination. Each one of the elements, if you think of a combination lock, are required to open you up to those highest potentials, to the things that your soul has really wanted to experience in this lifetime, but you haven't been able to discover yet. So what really trips people up a lot of the time is they say, okay, I'm going to try and surrender. And they get into surrender, and it takes them right up to their biggest blockage. So they're like, oh, well, this doesn't work. It took me right up to where I'm stuck. If you don't panic and knock yourself out of it and are willing to stay in the space of the surrender, faith, flow, trust model, what's going to happen is you will be guided under, around, through, up and over, however it is, to get past that blockage into the solutions that you haven't been able to find for yourself.
Right. And it is the faith that allows us to hang on and to go
the faith
through,
and
right?
the trust that it's taking you
trust,
somewhere.
Right.
If I'm right up against this blockage, I'm not going to panic. I'm going to see what they're trying to bring me to. And so what happens is when you really start working with the divine combination, what I love so much about this is it takes you out of being in troubleshooting mode with yourself all the time. If you know that you've surrendered, you're in your surrender, faith, flow, trust, you're following the signs and the synchronicities, you're following the ease and things that come into your awareness with ease, you know that this is your highest point. You don't have to be, I wonder if I'm missing something. I wonder if I have healing to do, because I think so many of us on our spiritual path are so diligent that we've become perpetual problem solvers within ourselves rather than allowing ourselves to discover our divine capability. And so, we get into these habits of I'm always looking for darkness. I'm always looking for something to clear. I'm always looking for how I'm wrong. When you're working in the divine combination, if there is something that you need to address, it will come into your awareness. You'll deal with it, and you'll just get right back into the system and move forward. So it creates so much more ease for yourself. And then Gabriel always laughs and says, well, what are you going to do with all that free time? And that's when you can really start to deepen your intuition, deepen how loved you are by this system, by your guides and your helpers and the universe and your soul, how incredibly loved and guided you are exactly as you are. And then you start to trust yourself more because you're not doubting yourself anymore.
Right. Yeah. And you've touched right on the intuition, which is where in this series of Graceful Connections, we're all about gracefully catalyzing your intuition. So now we see how the divine combination is right on spot because all these elements, the surrender, the faith, the flow, yes, we need the intuition to flow as well, the trust, and also the acceptance and the allowing that are brought through the first four elements. All of these are essential qualities. They are really requirements for intuitive mastery. So it seems like the divine combination is really maybe it was not intended to support intuition, and it's an outcome. Maybe it was intended as it looks like a machine for intuition, a system for intuition. Actually,
it absolutely is. It's you recognizing that you're part of that greater whole, and it's moving into partnership with those higher vibrational guides and helpers and this system. So, for example, I'll give you an example. When you are really working with the surrender, faith, flow, trust model, again, faith and trust, when employed together, open you up to the elements of acceptance and allowing. So what that does for you is, let's suppose you find yourself in a traffic jam somewhere. You're not going to go immediately into resistance and I'm angry because I'm going to be late and this is terrible and how can they have construction here right now during the day? You know, you're not going to do all of those things. You're going to say, okay, I am meant to be where I am for some reason. And I accept that I'm here. And then you start to explore, what does this right now moment have to offer me? And you can see, well, maybe my energy was needed here. Or maybe if I hadn't been slowed down, there was a big accident ahead, and I would have been in that accident. You start to just become much more at peace, and you start playing much more in the present moment. And when you're fully present is when you're able to connect with your intuition and your guidance from above.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's like making it happen. It's making it happen. And we can see how you've named or subtitled the divine combination, your higher vibrational operating system. We can perceive how it is a whole new and different way of operating at the foundation, and it is so high vibrational and so intuitive. It is totally intuitive. So we're right on spot here. So Shelley, I think we'd love to know. We have many requests for people who would like to know how the divine combination can support them. So are you ready to take some questions? Is this a good time to get started with the questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's take a live caller. We have Martin in Basking Ridge. I'm unmuting you, Martin.
Hi, good morning.
Hello. Hi, Martin. Welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. Perfectly. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. I'm so happy I was chosen. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Shelley.
Oh, you're welcome.
I wanted to know, how can the divine combination support me with all my health challenges?
That's a great question. So there's great power in using the divine combination in a very broad sense in terms of living your highest life expression. But we can also use the divine combination to help us navigate beyond some of the challenges that we have in life. So what I would do if I was having health challenges is I would surrender into perfect, vibrant health. And I would pay attention to what starts coming into my awareness. So this really is about taking yourself out of attempting to micromanage the universe into being guided to solutions that you may not be aware of. And so by moving into that surrendered space, there's a few things that would happen. Number one, you're going to move out of resistance. You're going to be focused on moving towards health. And so a lot of times when our bodies aren't working well, it's so easy to get caught up on the discomfort and what's not working. But healing always comes with flow. Healing is a flow. So when we can move ourselves out of, again, that troubleshooting mode, and I'm not saying that we ignore what's going on with our health. Of course, we have to use our wisdom. But if you can get into an idea of surrendering into the flow and staying there with your faith and trust, you will be led to the right healer. You'll be led to the right article or the right website or the right supplement that might help you or the right doctor or the right treatment, whatever it may be. So automatically you're disengaging from being concentrated on illness and frustration with that, which is a totally appropriate human response, by the way, but you're up-leveling into, okay, I'm detaching from pushing against what is unwanted, and I'm surrendering and flowing towards the solutions that I know exist. Because we won't ever create a challenge for ourselves that we don't have the full ability to move beyond. And it will help you start to also connect with some of the purpose. Why might this be happening to you? And how can you take your mastery back over it? What skills can I learn? What else is possible for me? So it's absolutely appropriate for you to surrender into that. So I would recommend that you use just whatever wording works really good, feels yummy to you. So whether it be, perfect, vibrant health or my divine blueprint of perfect health or whatever language works well for you. And then get into the flow and just stay very open, follow the signs and synchronicities. And that can also mean, I want to talk a little bit about the signs and synchronicities. If you see a repeating number, look it up. Look, what is the angel number meaning of that? If you see butterflies suddenly all of the time, take the time to look up butterfly spirit totem meaning. Because what's going to happen is you're going to notice that the entire planet is going to start talking to you in various ways. And you can start to get guidance for yourself in that way as well. So what I find so powerful about this system is you don't have to have any special skills. You don't have to be a medium. You don't have to hear angels. You don't have to hear your guides. It allows you to be a human being on the planet with no prerequisite skills that still can work within the system and get you where you need to go.
Well, thank you, Shelley. I always think I am surrendering, but I guess I am not. That's probably the hardest thing to do.
Surrender by itself isn't necessarily the hardest part, although people think it is. The trickiest part is staying in that surrendered space long enough for the magic to happen. So, are you surrendering? Are you really flowing? Are you watching for the signs and synchronicities? What's possible for you in the right now moment? What feedback are you getting from the universe? Are you staying in the trust piece long enough to get where you need to go? And then it can just start, if you're having trouble staying in the flow or you think you might not be surrendered into the flow, create an affirmation that really helps you do that. So the one I like to use the most is God is guiding me now. And that takes me out of, just being in doubt about it. It's just, if you use that, you'll notice that you almost shift energetically when you say that. And it's a willingness that, you're anchoring deeper into your faith and trust. So I would really explore that for you. A lot of people surrender, but they're not in the flow. They're not watching the signs and synchronicities. They're not trusting long enough to see where it's trying to take them. And if you do all of that and nothing seems like it's happening for you, start asking questions. Get curious. What is serving me right now with this situation? And start getting curious and asking questions in that way and see what comes up for you.
Thank you, Shelley. It's very helpful, and I like the fact that you say that we don't need to see our guides or hear things, because I guess I expect that from listening to all of those programs and people like you who see things, who connect, like Sophie too, and we feel like a lack of if we cannot reach those levels. So it's very comforting to know that even though we don't see that, it's still as effective, and we're still able to achieve.
Absolutely.
The right word.
Yes, absolutely. And interestingly, once you start working more with the divine combination, because you are surrendered, what I want you to understand is when you're in a surrendered space, you are willing to be moved into whatever you need. So there could be an energetic alignment that you need. You could have an energetic download that you need. Gabriel says, you know, the easiest thing to do is to take two surrendered human beings and move them into an intersection point because they're non-resistant. So that allows you to move into those right time, right place experiences.
Yes.
But it also, because now you're working with spirit and that you're seeing that you're loved and you're out of resistance, that helps you connect more with your guides. So it actually really serves you in moving into connection with guides if that is something that you wanted to do.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you,
Blessing.
Shelley. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for being there. And for Martin and for everyone, stay on the line, because in a little while we're going to have Shelley take more questions, but she's also going to share about how she's here to help us adopt this higher vibrational operating system of the divine combination, and how to operate by and with this operating system. So stay on the line, Martin, to find out how you can make this work with the whole support that Shelley is here to offer. Okay, thank you, Martin.
One thing, if I could, I'd like to point out.
Sure.
The divine combination also allows us to move beyond our self-imposed limitations or belief systems. So I had a student who, when I was teaching live, when I was still up in Canada, and she had this job that she absolutely hated. It just made her sick. She was just miserable in this job, but she stayed in this job because she had convinced herself that it was the only job in the world that would pay her, you know, that amount of money, and the benefits that she had. So when she surrendered, she moved out of that very limiting belief system, and she was able to get led to a much better job that was doing something that she loved, that paid just as well and had even better benefits. So it made her aware of how badly she was holding herself back with her belief system, that there was nothing else available to her, when that just wasn't the truth. So,
yes, and you know, this feeling of relief to the heart, I think it's also from that aspect. It's coming back again, that came earlier, that of all those restrictions and limitations that we have, and our heart suffers so much from all those restrictions, because our heart knows that there's so much more to life, there's so much more for us, and our hearts really suffer from these limitations, these restrictions. So through surrender, there's just like liberation into, yes, back into the realm of potentiality. That's so key. It is so key, and it feels so good to the heart. So I love what you brought with this, Shelley. Thank you.
Well, the other thing that Gabriel says, and I've experienced this, through my psychic site with other people time and again, is that when you are about to surrender, your guides gather close. They are so close. It's like he says they wait with bated breath, like they're so excited. And when you surrender, they rejoice. They are so happy. They celebrate because the act of you surrendering actually gives them permission to guide you into what they know has been available for you all the time, but you just don't know is there. So it's a great celebration. So not only is it good for your heart, it's also great for your guides because they're so thrilled because we have permission now.
Now we can play.
Yeah. And that's really a fun part of it as well.
It's like we open the door for them to come on the playground and okay, now we're gonna play together.
Exactly. Yes.
I love it. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Let's go to Van Nuys, California with Judy. I'm unmuting you, Judy. Hello.
Hi. Good morning.
Hi, Judy. Welcome.
I was listening to that last piece because I'm wondering if most of mine is subconscious. Like my body hurts. It's so tight when I wake up because I clench my teeth and sometimes I wake up, my hands are clenched and I'm wondering if most of my things are not in my conscious mind to release. My limiting stuff.
We are meant to be beings of movement. When you think about it, we are part of a universe that works with flow and expansion. Our soul is always looking for expansion. So there's a lot of times that we can feel a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress in the body because there's something else available for us. So again, sometimes we'll just get uncomfortable to get ourselves to move. So I would say first and foremost, play with surrender and see if you can move that energy. On the other hand, I've also been noticing I'll wake up sometimes and I have a lot of tension in my body. It feels almost like fight or flight. That is part and parcel of the energies that we're receiving right now. The energies are really strong. Today is the second eclipse. How cool is it that we're connecting on this day? I think this is wonderful. That was by accident, by the way. That wasn't planned. So kudos to all of you that are listening to this right now. Your soul is right on time. So it could be an energetic thing. The other thing I would say would be, is it excitement? So it could be, sometimes it's hard for us to discern, is it excitement? So think of a horse that's about to run a race and it's at the starting gate and it's just ready to run. It could be that as well. So there's a lot of different things that it could be that's causing that. Now, the other thing I think is really important to understand here when we work with surrender is your ego self, and I'm going to explain, I like to think of my ego self as a toddler. So it doesn't really like sudden change. It likes to think that it's in charge and it will tantrum if it doesn't get its way. Okay. And what happens with the ego self is when you're about to take a big leap forward, it kind of freaks out and it tries to keep you back. And it does that through fear and doubt. And the reason why it does that is because it's afraid it's going to get left behind. If you take this big step forward, it thinks, well, they won't need me anymore. So the thing to do with that is to just reassure it and just say, okay, listen, you are part of the human operating system. I need you. You're always coming with me. Let's go over here. Let's treat this like an experiment, and we'll see what happens. Or you give it a job, like, okay, you keep track of when I need to eat or when I might need a nap, and give it a job so that it feels important. But it could be, especially in the times that we're in, that you're about to take such a big leap that your ego self is feeling threatened by it. So these are all different things that you can explore, and there's not like a one size fits all. Sometimes we do have to feel into things, but again, that's using your intuition. That's asking questions. That's feeling into the energy of things. And, you know, if you gather up your ego self and you reassure whatever part of you is feeling anxious or afraid, and you surrender knowing that your team is there to wrap you up in love and to get there wherever is best for you in the most efficient way possible, hopefully that feeling will go away. If it's just due to the energies, you'll notice that start to lift, likely once we get past these eclipses.
Well, thank you so much. And Sophie, I have to tell you, right before you called my number, my name, I was smiling, thinking, God, I just love to hear her voice. I find her voice so soothing. And then you said, let's go to Van Nuys.
Well, we love to hear your voice, Judy. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you both.
Thank you. Many blessings. Welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, wonderful. Okay, we're going to go to the Q&A. If anyone else wants to come on the line with Shelley, press *2 on your phone or click raise hand on the webcast. For now, let's take questions from the Q&A. We have Martha asking, how can the divine combination support me with losing weight once and for all?
That's a great question. Remember when I talked about how the divine combination takes you out of troubleshooting mode with yourself? One of the things, when we are constantly judging our bodies or saying that it's not good enough, sometimes what will happen is your inner child aspects or your human self will hold on to weight to shield itself against the negative judgment. So as you start to work with the divine combination, what I would recommend is surrendering into having the perfect body to support your life expression. And as you move forward in that, see what comes up. You might be guided to eat differently. You might simply move into a deeper acceptance and allowing, which once you're in that space of non-resistance for yourself, you might end up losing the weight. Or perhaps this time around, you're holding on to a little bit more weight because it serves you in some way. If that's the case, you're going to have that awareness come in, and then you'll be able to perhaps support yourself in a different way that would be more in line with where you're trying to go. So there's many ways that the supports can come in, but I would use language. So after the call today, you could just simply quiet yourself, and all surrender requests are always honored, but the best ones are always heartfelt. So just say, I surrender into coming to complete peace with my body. Understanding that as you're in peace with your body won't hold on to anything that it doesn't need. This could also be a healing thing that you could use for our earlier caller who was having some health issues. How can I come to peace in my body? Because the whole health is a state of peace in your body.
I love this. I love this, and yet I'm sensing what's the tricky part as you said earlier, with surrender is to hold the surrender for long enough, right? So we may take some time in our spiritual practice and come to this surrender, but do we actually live it, right? Is it what really runs within us? As runs an operating system, right? That's where we need a degree and a strength. It's kind of paradoxical, but a strength of surrender, right? Because I'm seeing the four pillars, and the pillar of surrender has to be strong, that it remains. If not absolutely constant, as you said, sometimes we fail, but then we pick ourselves up and we go back to surrender. But we need to have a degree of constancy, of regular surrender, right? Holding the surrender long enough that this pillar be strong, right?
Well, it becomes a preferred operating system once you experiment with it a little bit, because you'll see how much easier things are. And further, if you understand that this is a higher vibrational operating system and we are shifting on the planet, this is the one that's going to be far more energetically supported than 3D. Because 3D is all about control. It's not about flow at all. So the other thing that I really want to mention, and Gabriel was nudging me to share this, is that as we're going through the shift on the planet, the needs of our bodies are always changing. It's much like being pregnant. You may crave certain foods at certain times. So what will happen is somebody will think, oh, I'm going to do keto, or I'm going to do, whatever diet. And it'll work well for the first little while because that's what the body needed at that time, and then it stops working. So people get frustrated. And I think that's why diets fail. Because when you get drawn to it, it's matching you in that moment, but it may not be matching you a month from now. So the key here is to develop relationship with your body and to ask it what it needs, or if it's craving something, because you're in that surrender, faith, flow, trust state, you understand that it's asking for that because it's needed. Let me give you an example. As our brains rewire, the fastest energy it can get is sugar. But yet we have vilified sugar, so people don't give it to themselves when that's actually what the brain is looking for. So if you're rewiring and your body's saying, oh, please just give me a Coke, and you're denying yourself, well, you're making things a little bit harder for yourself rather than just trusting in the wisdom of your body. So I think sometimes what happens is when we get caught up in a diet cycle, we don't trust the wisdom of our body anymore. So I would advise you to start creating relationship with your body and asking yourself from a space of greater wisdom, what is it that I need today? And try not to make it, I'm going to do this for the next 6 months. I also think that the greatest thing that we can do is practice inclusion with our diets versus I don't eat this. Because that's actually separation consciousness, and we're moving into unity consciousness. And when everything's on the table, then all of a sudden you're not feeling as hard done by or like you're going without. If you're making your decisions based on a space of wisdom, which, of course, being in the divine combination and you're working with your guides and all of the information is coming to you, it's going to be much easier for you to do. You're going to start making the choices that really work with your specific body's needs and the energetic challenges it may be going through at any given time.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Great message. From the body, or for the body. It's like a cry out from the body that wanted this to be heard.
So
thank
the
you.
body, Gabriel keeps telling me, and we don't realize this, but he says our body is the unsung hero of the ascension process. Because it is literally giving us the opportunity to be here on the planet. And so as we start to love it and celebrate it and thank it for all that it's doing and supporting it in that way, we come into much greater ease with it.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to go to, I love that we have such a variety of themes through the questions. So let's go to Chuik. I think is the place, I don't know how to pronounce, but this is for Harry. So you will recognize yourself, Harry, in Chuik. And Harry asks, how can the divine combination support me with finding my purpose in daily life?
I have the best example of this. I was playing around with so you have to remember that when I first heard this system from Gabriel, again, so long ago, I would play around with it because I was trying to really understand it very well, and I was just curious about it. And so what I did one day, I didn't have anything to do, and so I just said, okay, I'm just surrendering into being of my highest purpose today. And so I was just kind of nudged to go to Walmart. So I went to Walmart. And as soon as I walked in the store, in the lobby, a man asked me, do you know the time? Which I thought was kind of funny because everyone has a cell phone these days, but he didn't know the time. So I was able to give him the time. And then another person asked me when I was there if I could hand something down for them from a high shelf. And then a third person asked me, she was a sweet little older lady who had forgotten her glasses, and she was trying to buy Christmas cards, and she asked me if I could read what the Christmas card said because she couldn't read the writing. There were 3 people that asked me for assistance, and the flow just brought me to Walmart, and it was such a great day. My heart was full because I realized just by surrendering and going about my business, I was able to be of such simple service. And so I would say, just simply have the intention, I surrender into being of my highest purpose today. If nothing happens at all, it doesn't mean that you didn't surrender right. It means that being of your highest purpose that day might have been at home doing nothing, just holding some energy. You might be supporting the shift just by simply being patient, or even using the divine combination would be supporting the shift on the planet. So for whatever reason, your energy was best being of service by being exactly where you were, just being you. Again, it takes the guesswork out of things.
Yeah. And it brings the listening. There's so much listening, listening to all these subtle callings or nudges and prompts. And as what I'm perceiving is, as we go into surrender, there's so much of the noise that was there that just shuts down, and all the resistances that we have, or all the monkey mind, we go into into surrender. There's a quietness that comes in that allows us to hear, to listen, and to hear, and to pick up on those subtle messages, nudges, and prompts.
Yes, exactly. And that isn't that what intuition is? It's still intuition.
That's exactly, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Harry. Blessings. Okay. We'll come back. We'll have more questions for you, Shelley, but I think now is a good time to discover how you're here to support us adopting the divine combination and installing this new higher vibrational operating system. So you've created a wonderful offering, obviously called the divine combination. We'd love to hear all about it. So for everyone to follow Shelley. If you're on the phone, you can go to gracefulconnections.com/Shelley4. That's graceful with 2 L's, gracefulconnections.com/SHELLEY digit 4. If you're on the webcast, you have a button and a link that you can click to go to the page. And if you're on the replay, just scroll down the page to discover Shelley's special offer. Shelley, please reveal what you have created for our audience.
Yes, this is a program that is 6 classes that are designed to help you fully understand each of the elements of the divine combination, the other elements that the core ones open you up to, and to have the experience of it in a way that is very personal to you. What is so awesome about this program is that Gabriel leads the meditations. And this is the only program that I have that Gabriel himself, they're channeled meditations. So it's a very high vibrational. It feels wonderful. So what we do is we look at the core elements of surrender, faith, flow, trust. And we also look at acceptance and allowing. And the last class has my very favorite meditation ever. I love it. It feels so good, where Gabriel leads a meditation that has each of the elements so that you experience it and how they're working all together for you. So I talk a lot about why you want to do this, what it will do for you. My career is an absolute example of what surrender and the divine combination does for you. I just stumbled into it by accident out of sheer desperation. Let me tell you, there was no guidance counselor in my high school or college that could have come up with being a channel for Archangel Gabriel for my career.
For sure.
So, I mean, it was because I didn't know anything else and I was just willing to see what showed up. And I just had the very loose intention of surrendering. All I knew is I wanted to help people. That's exactly what happened. And it would have taken a long time. Now, the other thing I really want to mention here is sometimes when you get into the flow, you're going to be taken somewhere. So, for example, if somebody would have told me, if I would have had a psychic reading and somebody said, oh, you're meant to be the channel of Archangel Gabriel, I would have said no to becoming a hypnotherapist. And it was through playing with the cool tool of hypnosis I was able to move into an alignment to hear Gabriel. So sometimes when you surrender and get into that flow, you're going to have stepping stones that show up that have purpose to get you where you're going. All you have to say is say yes. And this is designed to help you get more comfortable in feeling the energy of it, of each of the elements, and learning how to move with them. So in class 1, we look at surrender and faith, and we kind of have to do that one together because you need something to surrender into. So that class gives you an introduction to the divine combination. We talk about what it'll do for you. We do an overview of the essential elements. We do an examination of the elements of surrender and faith. I talk about how to surrender and tips to stay surrendered. And then you have the channeled meditation with Archangel Gabriel to experience surrender and faith together. In class 2, we do flow. And so I love this class because it makes flow much less scary. So in this class, we cover what is the flow, how to flow, what it will do for you, why it's important, the role that gratitude plays, and tips for staying in the flow. And then we have a channeled meditation with Archangel Gabriel to experience surrender with faith into the flow. Then we move on to class 3, which is trust. And in that class, we cover the important role trust plays in the divine combination, what it will do for you, and tips to stay in trust. And then there's a channeled meditation with Gabriel to experience the element of trust and how to use it to stay in surrender, faith, and flow. In class 4, we look at acceptance and allowing. We look at the importance of those elements, where they come from, what they support, and how they activate peace and patience, and also further beingness. Excuse me. And then we have a channeled meditation to experience the wonderful feeling, peaceful energy of acceptance and allowing. And to me, that's very much grace. That's the energy of grace. Class 5 is using the divine combination as a manifestation tool. So using it for specific purposes. So we have an exploration of the essential elements of manifestation, how to use the divine combination to manifest, and how the divine combination helps you step into your role as an empowered co-creator. And there's a channeled meditation for you to experience co-creating with the universe with Gabriel. And in class 6, we talk about the highest application of the divine combination and the activation of grace and ease. And in this class, we cover what the highest application is of the divine combination, joyful service, moving into grace and ease, and tips for continued success with the divine combination moving forward. And then we have that final channeled meditation that I love so much, that is to experience all of the elements being utilized for the highest good of all. But what I am most excited about is the fact that for the first time ever, I'm also offering a second a live call once you're done the course with activations and attunement for each of the elements to allow people to stay in it better, to get more comfortable with it. Now, attunements is something that I've never done before. I just created a program, and it was for the first time ever. It just happened. I was leading the meditation, and my arms started moving all over the place, and I just spontaneously started doing energy attunements. So this has never been done before. This is something very special to your audience.
Exclusive, yes.
I'm so excited to do it. I can't wait. It's going to feel wonderful. And this is an extra support for you, for those of you who do choose the option 1. So that's what I have in store for you. And I'm telling you, I can't imagine living my life without the divine combination at this point. It's truly transformational.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. So a couple of comments from me to wrap up. So the program itself, divine combination, the 6 classes, that's option 2. And it's the self-study course, but it's a self-study being mentored and held guided in meditation with Archangel Gabriel. So I think we're in the best hands that we can be for that self-study. Okay, so that's option 2. And yes, option 1 is the divine combination plus this unique first time ever, and a totally exclusive live attunement and Q&A. There's going to be a question and answers first in your live call, Shelley, and then going into the attunement during a meditation, right?
Yes, exactly. And one of the things why I actually think it's much better to do this class as a self-study rather than a live teaching is because you then have the MP3s, you have the recordings to go back. So let's suppose you're really struggling with trust. You can redo the trust class. You can redo the trust meditation to further help yourself be more comfortable in it. So it's kind of like in case of emergency, it's under glass. If you're struggling with any of the elements, it's there to help you. Yeah. And so I think that's a really important thing to understand. This isn't a one and done kind of situation. This is also designed to help you and offer you continued support. And know along with an attunement, oh, this is going to be awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah. So we can pace ourselves. Do you have a suggestion on how to pace, like one per week, or do we start with the first one, we surrender, and then we see how we move along? How would you suggest to work with this?
Yes, that's exactly how I would suggest it. Do the first class, do the surrender, and then start using the system to see when it's time to do the next class.
Yes, surrender to the next step. Exactly. Absolutely.
Because here's what people really need to understand. The divine combination is an incredibly intelligent system that is customized to you and your specific needs. So if you're feeling, no, it's not time yet, okay, you're still going through some kind of energetic adjustment. You'll know when it's time to do the next one. You can't mess up when you're working the divine combination because it is absolutely unique to you. And so it will guide you whenever you're ready. You'll know.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. So, option 2, divine combination, self-study with Archangel Gabriel, and option 1 is the divine combination plus the exclusive live attunement. And it is very generously priced. Thank you for that, Shelley. And you have a 2-payment, even 3-payment option to make it really so accessible for everyone who wishes to get on board and to install this high vibrational operating system. So wonderful. Thank you. Let's go back to take more questions. And before we take questions, someone left a comment, and I don't have the name, but I'd love to share the comment, who says, thank you, Shelley and Sophie. These are such lovely messages and guidance coming through, so much resonating for me. So that's wonderful. Thank you for you who shared this. Now, let me pick a question, the question from Noel, who will serve questions from quite a few others as well. So Noel in Montreal asks, how can the divine combination support me with my financial issues? Someone put it in support me with receiving financial abundance. Someone put it in with finding financial freedom.
One of the things that the divine combination is truly brilliant at is making us aware of where we have had limiting beliefs and releasing them to just become very open. So what the divine combination will do for you if you're looking to create more financial abundance for yourself, if you get into it and surrender into whatever word best resonates with you. So let's just, for the sake of argument, say more financial abundance. And you enter into the flow, and you're staying there in your faith and trust, and you're watching the signs and synchronicities. Opportunities are going to come in for you. Further, it moves you out of micromanaging the universe, thinking that abundance can only come in certain ways. So it leaves you very open for your guides to align you again with those intersection points where perhaps you move into something. I'll give you an example. This was really fun. So I was looking for, this was in the early days. Again, I was just playing around with the divine combination a lot, and I really needed to get like a new bedspread. So I wanted to get, you know, the whole bedspread with the pillow shams and the dust ruffle and everything. So I surrendered into finding the best one. And I went out shopping, and nothing really happened, and I was pulling into my driveway, and I just got this nudge, go to a certain store that I hadn't gone to, a store that I never go to, actually. And so I went to the store, and they had a big sale of bed and bags that were on for 50% off, which was like a wonderful price. And so I found the one that would go perfectly in my bedroom. And then I went up to the cash and they said, oh, no, that was 50% off, but now it's another 50% off. So I ended up getting exactly what I was looking for much less money than I ever would have thought possible. I think I ended up spending $35 for a beautiful bed knit bag. And that's an example. That's an example. I didn't sit there and say, hey, I don't have the money for this. I didn't anything. I just followed the nudges. And so opening up into your abundance moves you beyond thinking money can only come in if I win the lottery, or money can only come in if through my paycheck. And I just don't even think money can come in any other way than that. It opens you up to being served in so many ways. So perhaps what you're looking for is going to show up for you affordably, or perhaps, gosh, when I first started my business and when I was up in Canada, Trinity Esoterics actually had a brick and mortar. When we started, I was starting it with my sister-in-law, and we were both overjoyed that they had given us 2 keys, because between the two of us, we did not have enough money to cut a second key. And this place manifested like magic. I had somebody show up and said, hey, can you use these? I bought this paint. I don't like the color, the exact color we wanted. And then somebody else showed up, and he owned a building across the street. Turned out it was somebody I went to high school, and he owned a flooring place. So he said, hey, I'd love to donate the flooring for your place. It manifested in a way that I couldn't have imagined. Had I just sat and tried to figure out how to do it, I never would have moved into it.
Right. And I'd like to bounce on this because, there's a whole class number 5, dedicated to using the divine combination as a manifestation tool, including how to use the divine combination to manifest, and the meditation with Archangel Gabriel to experience co-creating with the universe. So that's a life changer in terms of our manifestation. Right?
Absolutely. And one way that I find it really easy in my brain to kind of stay in the surrender, faith, flow, trust model, I kind of think of it like when I consider co-creating, I kind of consider it like a relay race where I go as far as I can here, and then when I don't know what to do next, I pass the baton to Spirit. And then Spirit takes it and shows me the next steps, and that's when I take the baton back and I go as fast as I can once I know what the next steps are. And it just continues being like that. That's what really co-creation is all about. But it's also seeing yourself as worthy. It's also seeing yourself as beloved. It's seeing yourself as being part of the whole, which is by itself just life-changing. So that's, there's so many ways to look at it.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So this has answered quite a few questions that we had. I'm going to take another one. Well, we're going to group. We have a few questions about relationships. So Nicole asking, and maybe it's we can wrap up the questions together. Maybe you're going to distinguish. Nicole asks about how can the divine combination support me with my issue with my daughter. We have Krista asking how can divine combination support me with my relationship with my husband. So can you address this? And maybe other listeners have all other types of relationships in mind as well. So how can we?
If I was looking to improve a relationship, I would surrender into the highest expression of that relationship. And so from that space, I would watch what was showing up for me. So I might have a deeper understanding that, they feel this way. This is why they're doing that. Or I might have a healing piece come in for me. So, oftentimes our relationships are reflections of what we're holding. And that might come right up into your awareness where you're like, oh, I'm not emotionally available right now, so maybe that's why this person isn't emotionally available right now. There's so many ways that it can work, and there's so many nuances and differences in each individual relationship that it's difficult to give a one-size-fits-all answer. But I can tell you that as you move, one of the greatest game changers I find that I can use in any of my relationships is gratitude and acceptance and allowing. And so if you can come by using the divine combination into a greater overall place of peace, then you start accepting people for where they are. You understand that maybe what they're going through. But further, when we have appreciation for others, they tend to want to show up better for us. So, you know, all of these are little awarenesses that could very well come in as you're surrendering towards having that better connection with somebody. And it moves you out of resistance. It moves you out of that, again, troubleshooting mode or negative focus into I'm being guided by the angels. I'm being guided by my soul. This is all serving purpose. And you can start to, again, follow the signs and synchronicities and allow solutions to show up. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly how you can handle that.
Right. And to bounce on this, for Krista, there's an element of not being clear whether the highest good for both her and her husband is actually being together. So what I'm seeing is how the divine combination is being such a system for intuition. When we operate by the divine and with the divine combination, and that's going to answer a number of other questions as well, we actually reach the level of clarity and get the answers and the guidance that we need in order to have the clarity that we are looking for, right? That we are actually longing for.
Absolutely. And sometimes it is that a relationship breaks apart, but if you're staying in the divine combination, you're going to see why that's happening and where it's trying to lead you, which might be an even better relationship. We don't know, but you're not going to make a mistake if you are working with this system or with your higher guides, because it can never, ever take you somewhere worse. Never.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's for you, Krista. Okay, thank you. Let's take another question from, from Julie in Delray Beach. How can the divine combination support me with staying focused on my creative path?
I love this question.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that people really have to understand is flow isn't only forward movement. Flow will also have periods of ebbs where there's no movement, or a lull where there's no movement at all, according to what the energies are doing, according to what's best supported for you. I have learned that if I'm trying to create something, and I force myself to sit down and try and write something, I will get almost nothing done. It'll be an exercise in futility, and it'll be really frustrating. If I'm patient enough to wait for the right wave to come along, I'll get so much more done because I'm willing to move with the flow. So sometimes we get into this whole idea like I'm lazy, or I should be doing this, or I should have a schedule. I think that creating in the new energies is learning how to ride the wave and learning that we are far more efficient when we wait for when it is being supported. So it's kind of a different way than what we might normally think of creating. So I would surrender into whatever it is that you're wanting to create, and then really trust what's showing up for you energetically. And if it's just not feeling supported, don't force it. It's almost like we're bobbing around in the ocean on a surfboard and we're just waiting for the right wave. And when we wait for that right wave, boy, we can make progress. And that's what it's really all about. It's learning how to move with the energies without getting stressed out about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Julie. Blessings. I want to take a couple more questions, if that's okay for
yes,
you,
of course.
Shelley.
Sure.
Well, and before going to the next questions, there's a question about the live attunement.
Mm-hmm.
The exclusive, and is it intended to be done at the end? Yes, it's intended to be done ideally, if I understand well, Shelley, ideally after having done your self-study with your mentor, Archangel Gabriel, then the live attunement call is going to happen. And so the date, when will you be doing the live call? You have the date. You have set the date for that.
I don't have the date in front of me. Do you
I have it. November 21st. November 21st.
Yeah.
So yes, it's intended to be. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to make sure that everybody would have time to kind of explore the program itself, play around with it a little bit, and then that way, this is a live call. I can answer any of your questions. I can clear up any confusion. I can help you if you're finding yourself stuck in any area, and then the attunement on top of it. So I did that on purpose so that you'd have some time to kind of figure out where you might need a little extra support.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so that's your answer. We don't have the name, but you have your answer. And thank you for bringing this question. Now, let's take the question from Linda in Hobart, who asks about how can a divine combination help me in my evolution and specifically in decoding. So that's specific, the decoding, the downloads and the guidance that I receive, but that I don't understand or interpret in my 3D consciousness. So how to decode and also how to embody it more fully.
We don't always have to understand a process that's happening. One of the things that Gabriel tells me all the time is that there's absolutely no knowledge of the ascension process necessary for a person to ascend. A lot of times it's just the human mind that wants to figure out what's going on. And in reality, I think that there's processes that are so complex that the human mind will never fully understand. But I do think that it's fair to ask for, just some reassurance or even some core words even, just to understand, so if you're going through something and you don't know what's going on with it, if you just receive a couple of words from staying in the divine combination, or even just those signs, those nods from the winks from the universe, you're on the right track, all is well. And that allows you to stay in that flow. One thing that can be, I don't know specifically what it is that they're trying to decode. You could surrender into the divine combination to be of your highest service, and if decoding is part of your highest service, it's going to start to make sense to you. So it's going to help you come to a greater space of peace in whether the decoding is happening for you or not, or at what pace it may be going through, or whether that's even something that's necessary for you to be of your highest service. Because you're always going to be receiving things on a soul level. And also, our whole embodiment process is also, it's a process that can't be rushed or slowed down. It just is. It's an organic process. But what will help with using the divine combination for it is you can do it much more easily and much more comfortably, because it'll help you stay out of resistance. And when we're in flow and willing to stay surrendered with our faith and trust no matter what's going on, that's when we really integrate energies much easier. So, there's a bunch of different ways of looking at that without knowing more specifics. It's difficult for me to say, but that's kind of my answer for this question.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Linda. Also, thank you. Blessings, Linda. Quite a few questions on the having clarity, and all this has been pretty much covered, I feel, right? One question, interesting question from Z in Charlotte. How does the divine combination support me in stopping to feed my fears with energy leaks?
If you understand that the divine combination is giving you every last thing that you need because it's a very intelligent system and it's a higher vibrational operating system, you're not going to have energy leaks. It's just not going to happen. If you did have an energy leak that needed to be addressed, it just would happen, or you would be guided to what you needed to do for that. You would consider it a job well done, and you'd get right back into that forward movement. So things like energy leaks or picking up lower vibrating energies and that kind of stuff, that doesn't really exist when you're working with the higher vibrational operating system. You would be kind of up-leveling into a different line of potential, if you will, that just didn't contain that. Because when you're higher vibrating, there's no attachment point for anything lower vibrating or for anything less than your wholeness, if that makes sense. It kind of moves you out of the worry about it too, I think about that all the time when I first started, because I didn't have a teacher. I learned everything directly from Gabriel. And so, I made a lot of mistakes in the early days when I was still kind of learning how to hear him. And I worried about stuff like that all the time. Now I don't even think about it. Like, it's just kind of a non-issue, because I understand that I'm in charge of my energetics, and I choose not to give away my power in any way. I stay in empowerment. I claim my energetics, and nor do I use any kind of self-protection techniques, because that's also, number one, announcing that there's something that I need protection from, which Gabriel says is hooey, which is kind of an angelic square, I guess. And, it's also practicing separation consciousness. I hold an energy that's very much like your orb of grace that allows everything loving and wonderful to come through, and anything that's not, it's just not an energetic match to it. So I hope that helps.
Right. Yes, I'm sure it does. Thank you. Thank you, Z. Blessings. It's really about reaching this whole new level in the video game, so to speak, where a number of things simply no longer exist, right? And they just, we even forget about them. Like they are not in our reality anymore. And that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Well, let me wrap up. So, Divine Combination, your self-study course with the mentoring, divine mentoring with Archangel Gabriel. That's so special, so special. That's option 2. Option 1 is Divine Combination plus the live attunement, exclusive Q&A. First, a Q&A to help you with adjusting yourself or any questions you may have with your practice, with your learning, and living the Divine Combination, and then the attunement with Archangel Gabriel.
I'm so excited to do that.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Thank you for offering the exclusivity of it for Graceful Connections. So everyone go to gracefulconnections.com/Shelley4. On the webcast, you have the button, the replay. On the replay page, you just scroll down the page to get all the details. Shelley, do you have any word of closing that you would like to offer?
Yeah. One of the things that I really love about the Divine Combination is that when you're watching for those signs and synchronicities, your life becomes so magical. There's so much magic and so much wonder and so many synchronicities around you. It's amazing. And what it really does is what Gabriel's always asking us to do, which is allow your life to get as big and beautiful as it wants to be. So that's what your soul wants. And I hope that whether you buy the package or whether you just surrender today, I just hope that that's what you can move into in these new energies that we're in, especially with this second eclipse that's really supporting us in moving beyond any old limitations and moving forward into our highest potential.
Mm-hmm. And that, I believe, is happening right as we speak. Like we're in the eclipse is in progress right now, not yet at the maximum. So once we hang up, everybody can dedicate themselves to the eclipse fully. But we're in the process of the eclipse growing. So it's so wonderful too, and so significant and symbolic, right? Like we take a stand together. We take a stand together. I love this.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Let's take a moment to be present once again to the orb of grace. Allowing it to remain there, holding us, holding all that we have received, experienced, discovered today, all that we're not even yet aware that we have received, allowing it to settle in, to sink in, to come to our awareness as we are held in the orb of grace for as long as it serves our highest good, our evolution, and the highest good of all. And I'm closing now by giving gratitude to each and every one of you in the audience. Thank you for answering yes to the calling of grace and to the calling of your highest potential, the calling of the realm. Let's put it this way, the calling that the realm of potentiality is addressing to you, addressing to your heart, addressing to your soul. Say, come and join, right? Infinite gratitude to you, Shelley Young, along with Archangel Gabriel, for all the insights, the wisdom, the brilliance, the offerings and exclusivity you have gifted us today through all the graceful connections that have been woven with you and your masterful expertise.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a real joy connecting with you and your audience.
Absolutely. And for us to be with you. Gratitude, Shelley. Thank you. Gratitude to the Orb of Grace for providing a safe, sacred space for our journey of exploration. And gratitude for all the grace we are blessed with at every moment, whether we are aware of it or not. It offers all the nourishment, the nurturing, the healing, the revelations, and the realizations that we open our hearts to receive. Gratitude to our higher selves and all the higher beings who guide, support, and protect us. And gratitude to the divine. Thank you. Until we meet again, many graceful blessings to you all. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, everyone. Happy eclipse and goodbye now.